Blessed be the Lord my strength, who teaches my hands to war and my fingers to fight. My goodness, my fortress, my high tower and my deliverer. My shield and he in whom I trust.
The format I would like to go by is good, bad, and ugly, just in reverse, so that way there's something positive to leave on, which is kind of foreshadowing, so bear with me on that. We're going to look at the rifles first, see what the real difference is, and then finally the units. So for starters, we have 3 different rifles, the Carabiner, the Mosin, M27, and the Mosin. The only difference between these rifles, the only difference, is the muzzle velocity, or muzzle speed as it says in here. How quickly it gets to a target. When you're playing any type of shooter game, you're going to get used to a rifle enough if you're using to feel it out, like as you're taking these shots at longer distances, which that does actually matter. However, it's not crazy the difference. The Carabiner is definitely the slowest at 53 milliseconds, but the highest is the Mosin, which is 606. So that's pretty good, but, you know, if you're using the unit all the time, that's where you're going to notice it, but it's not crazy. The only other thing I need to really show you in that regard is the actual soldiers themselves, specifically the Finnish sniper, because the Finnish sniper actually has a higher regeneration pool per second. So the normal units, you get a 0.1, and this you get a 0.9. Now that's significant, especially with these elite units, because you know, you're not having to, if anything that's not doing something I just went through a battle, they're at least constantly healing. That is a huge thing. It takes 10 seconds for a normal unit to get to 1. It takes 1 second for them, 2 seconds to get to almost 2 HP per second. So, I think it's a positive. I think it's good. But, you know, if you know the history of Finland and their snipers / marksmen, yeah, it's it kind of makes sense. They're pretty fantastic. So let's start by looking at the ugly. And the ugly can be pretty ugly at times, and it's very deterring for me when I see these issues on full display. For instance, the micromanaging aspect of the unit. You cannot fully rely on a sniper to be in a spot by themselves and constantly get kills. For example, I had put them in many buildings. I did this in a skirmish just to see how they would react, because I kept finding that there was this adverse effect that was happening over a course of time in a battle. He would be aiming up there, he gets shots, he's killing, he gets through 3 kills, and all of a sudden he just freezes up. Gun starts aiming up. I take over the unit to see what's going on, and he's just like standing there. He's not shooting. Or, I get him in another position, where he's overlooking a road, he's taking a few shots at first, he kills 3, and all of a sudden he gets like what seems to be PTSD, where he's just not taking the shot. He's looking at him, and sometimes you'll actually see the crosshairs go up, boop, and then it's gone. And this keeps happening. And the only way for you to understand why or what's going on is to zoom in and see what it is. Is it a bush that's throwing his line of sight? Is he running too far or too fast in a certain direction? Maybe. But it just feels like snipers are starting to feel like, as more I dive into them to really see what's going on, it feels like they're marksmen with PTSD. One of the other things, too, again, I talked about the locking on thing. This seems to be a constant issue. You'll have a perfect line of sight. They'll be standing behind sandbags from the chest up, and you can see the chest, you can see the shoulders, you can see their head. In real life, snipers will go for the head. How many movies have you seen where they lift the rifle up, the helmet's on top, they shoot it, the helmet pops off, they're like, okay, there's a sniper out there, clearly. Or there's soldiers watching. This is a problem, and it needs to be... somehow it needs to be solved. I don't know how you solve that. I don't know if they have a crosshair for the sternum and they need to focus on chest or head, or like if they're not moving, they should be like going for headshot, and as soon as they start running, it goes to the chest. I don't know. But there's just this. This is something that's very, very frustrating when you're playing. The last thing of the ugly is the spotty camouflage. You know, the best snipers out there they take shots, they would wait. In all the battle, it's very difficult to see these units. And for some reason, you take a shot and you're automatically exposed, from long range or not. Getting shot by artillery is a big problem. I hate that it's happening so quickly to your snipers. It's probably the number one reason why they die. We're going to go over that later. But that's my thoughts, at least on the ugly portion of the unit. Alright, so now for the bad. And granted, the ugly can feel pretty ugly at a lot of points in the game. But more importantly, the bad kind of personifies why the sniper is just not where it needs to be. See, the AI seems to take advantage of the fact that this unit is exposed when they take a shot. In real life, as I talked about with the camouflage aspect of it, when a sniper shoots, there's a lot of chaos on the battlefield. Even if there's not a lot of chaos in the battlefield, to look across the landscape and see rubble, to see destroyed, dead soldiers all over the place, and so on. Just envision yourself as a sniper in the bodies, in the rubble, in whatever. They didn't just go out there looking obvious. So when a gunshot goes off, the AI should not turn around and be like, I see you. And unfortunately, the artillery, specifically the 76mm cannon, the first shot, if you miss a unit, the cannon goes, oh, I know where he's at. The second shot, they take that shot immediately afterwards because you're exposed. Now, this could be a problem with the artillery itself, but it's also the fact that the AI doesn't play the shot correctly. So if a AI is looking in one direction and you take a shot and it misses, the AI turns around and he knows where you're at. And I find that a lot of times when that shot's happening, they don't hit the deck, they don't run away. And this to me is like, it just doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? That's why it's bad. That's the bad portion of it. And you are exposed. And a lot of times I find that all the soldiers will start moving your way, or they'll start shooting in that direction, or they'll just be like, whatever, you know? So that just feels bad. That's part of the bad portion of it. The other thing is, I find that snipers can't find the range. You're going to see in a video clip where there is a AA gun shooting off in the distance, and I'm trying to get this sniper laying on a road, flat surface, looking out, only at 110 meters out and up to 90 meters out. I'm trying to get him to fire at this AA gun. Finally, for whatever reason, he finally takes that shot, and I find this happens a lot. That even after that first shot, you know, the next guy who's driving the vehicle, he turns into the AA gun. The sniper is still not taking that shot. He can see him. You know he can see him because the actual map and the mini-map is blinking like, yes, I see him. But they're not doing anything about it. And the rifles, so that you know, are rated up to 130 meters. So they can take a 130-meter shot, but it's just not happening. I don't know why the inconsistency is happening this way, but it just feels, again, bad. The last thing, and I know this is a problem because I've seen this on Reddit, I've seen it in other comment sections and so on, is that when snipers take a shot, the actual minigame, which is a white circle that turns into a yellow circle, whether it's for the user or the AI, takes too long. I wish that there was a way that that circle would go faster depending on the range. So yeah, if you're going to take a long range shot, you're not just going to be like, boop, kill them. You need that, like, I like that there's a minigame. I think it's a great design for this game. The problem is the time at which it takes. And I would like to see something that a sniper, like, I would love to think that the sniper could zero in and take a shot if he's within 50 meters. Because I see a normal Mosin guy just hammering on my guy, and I'm taking 5 seconds, 3 seconds, whatever it is, somewhere in there, to take one shot, not even to kill him at times. So that's the bad that I see, especially with AI. And now for the good, and let me tell you something, it feels pretty great. I'm not a fan of how the AI plays the sniper role. I feel as if there's some real PTSD going on there. However, when you're using the sniper, you feel like a legendary sniper, like it was back in World War II. You feel like one of the greats. And why? because of the fact that you can make a difference on the battlefield. Taking out a mortar team, taking out artillery, taking out AA guns, taking out commanders, taking out a flamethrower guy, taking out another sniper, taking out a recon unit on the back of a tank or on one of the half tracks is so much fun. It feels good. Taking out a whole point by yourself in Conquest, or taking out a squad that's coming across an open field. There is moments where it just feels so much fun and is actually effective. I would say that even the mini game, while it does take a little while to actually get that point, that dot, and the things I suggested earlier, while that is kind of a hindrance at times, it also adds a bit of suspense, and I do love that quite a bit. They're also, with getting away from the user side of it, though it does play in a role a little bit here, it's the fact that there is a recon ability. I find myself looking for certain units, or I saw something blow up in the woods, or like you see like a radius on the mini map, and I only have a sniper in the region and I'm looking, there is that recon ability that can give away a unit's position. The last thing is the actual camouflage ability. They are a camouflage unit. You can sneak through the woods, you can sneak around behind enemy lines, and in some of the campaign, you can be a sniper and it feels great as well. Especially when you're being a marksman, which I get isn't a sniper per se, but you can put a sniper rifle in their hands and it feels dirty. It feels great. So that's my positive, at least for the good. Guys, I'm going to give you a AI score, a user score, and then my overall score. I feel like it's very important because there are two stories here and it's going to kind of determine the outcome. Not kind of, it's going to determine the outcome. So starting with the AI, it is incredibly underwhelming, in which I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. And it could be a 3 out of 10. And I don't want to go that low because I have seen snipers do great things. Especially back in the day, I'm going to call it, when the game first came out, I felt as if snipers were doing more at that point. Now it feels like there's good and then there's bad. There's PTSD happening instantly on the field. There are times where I had them perfectly lined up, perfect shots, within range, more than within range, and they still were not getting the job done. They take 3 kills and then they just freeze up, and you just see the thing going over and over and over again, the mini game for the AI. And it makes you wonder, so then you zoom in to see exactly what it is that's going wrong. Can't figure it out. Don't know why. And I challenge anybody who disagrees with this sentiment of what I'm saying, and to go into skirmish, create the same scenario, get 5 snipers on the battlefield. I got up to 5. It took me a little while, but I got up to 5, and I put them in different buildings. I put them in different locations. And this was not one test. I did it on many different maps to see, because I wanted to try it. It's not just the only video I'm working on, but I wanted to try to see what they would do. And it was just so underwhelming and disappointing when I actually found out all these things that were happening with the sniper. Now let's look at the user score. The user score is easily an 8. I love using the sniper. It is one of the best. It's one of the best units to actually play as. Simo Hea, okay, with the legendary Finland sniper. He is one of the White Death, I believe is what, I think that's his like calling card. He was incredible, right? And you can actually feel as if you're that guy. You can feel like you are truly the White Death, especially in the snow. I love it for Finnish troops, especially if you're using the marksman. That's a whole nother story. But the point is like, the minigame keeps it actually fresh. I would like it to be faster. I talked about that earlier, like the actual minigame, especially within range. But it adds a little tension when you're trying to take out an AA gun, when you're trying to take out a mortar team, trying to take out artillery, especially once you hit the one artillery guy and the artillery is like slowly turning towards you. That's intense. It feels really good. Taking out a commander sitting off the top of a tank, or the tank commander, right? I blasted one of their heads off, and it reminded me of the bell tower sniper in Saving Private Ryan. So yeah, there is some great strategy you can do with that too, with the camouflage and so on, and getting them behind enemy lines, and even working with a commander, which I do quite often when I do use a sniper. So yeah, there are some great moments, but that leads me to my overall score. And I know people will disagree with this, and that's totally cool. I'm not the perfect YouTuber who has all the answers, okay? I don't do coding. So But what I will say is the overall score is going to still be a 4 out of 10. While it is great to take over the unit, while it is effective to take over the unit, be the user, I'm going to be completely honest about this game. If you ask anybody, if somebody asks you, should I buy this game? The first thing you're going to tell them is, it is incredible. Everything is great. But the one thing that matters the most is micromanaging. Micromanaging. If a unit can't withhold its own status within the game and has all these flaws and just does not play appropriately, effectively, and consistently, that is a massive issue. And when it comes to games like this, I was so disappointed to have to give it this grade because I thought that the sniper would perform way better than it did. And now I see it in my private sessions on Conquest. I realize it too watching old videos. Like, we're talking over a year ago, I made videos and just been holding them in my archives. And I noticed the same thing. This is a problem. And I hope it gets addressed. I love being the user, and I'll throw them into my squad into Conquest. But if I'm playing skirmish, I may grab one, but I just don't feel it's as effective as I'd like it to be. And I feel like it's more effective to user a tank with a cannon, with MGs on it, than to use this unit. If you feel indifferent, please let me know in the comment section below, guys. I know you may feel indifferent at times in the things I'm saying, but if you did like at least the overall content, please hit that like, and let's have a discussion. And any further updates, I'll let you guys know coming down the road with new DLC or whatever it is. So, thanks again, guys, and I will see you in the next one.